And Tristan, you said this might upset a couple of people, but I, to me, their song, like the vibe that I get is a lot like Nickelback, and I know,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like Nickelback, but like we can all think of like a Nickelback song that is just like a, no matter what, even if you hate them, there's still like what you call them, song worms, or what'd you call them?
Earworms is what they're called.
Earworms. Thank you.
Yeah, they're strong melodies. And also Nickelback, that like one album was really good. The one with like all the first hits that they had.
Hmm.
They had fuck, what was All the Right or Wrong Reasons? It's one of those two, because the song is
Mm.
called All the Wrong Reasons and the album is called All the Right Reasons, something like that.
Okay.
That's the one with Rockstar on it. Wanna be your rock star, that fucking song. That's a bad song, but that album is really good.
Ro,
The-
Ro, your mic is off. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Uh, okay, as I am so out of the loop here. I really want to know, why do people hate Nickelback?
It's
Okay.
because of it's a meme, and their music was not that good after like they did one really cool album. That album was great. Dark Side of the or Silver Side of the Bullet, or it's a song about Dimebag Darrell, and it's like one of the coolest songs like ever written ever. It's a great album. The first track is awesome. It kicks in super heavy. It was mixed very well, and it was exactly what it needed to be. But the next album was not, and then the next album was even more not. It's like the prime example of a band doing one thing right and then never fucking evolving at all. So all other bands were held to that standard of like, you don't want to do a Nickelback, and that's why.
There's another reason too. On top of that, there was a comedian who was on a TV show, and this was
Hmm.
when Nickelback was just starting to kind of like they were starting to get known, right? Like they weren't huge, but they were getting their foot in the door. But a comedian was making a joke, and he's like, "Oh, like this is terrible. It just reminds me of Nickelback." And like everyone was like, "What's Nickelback?" And he's like, "It's this terrible band, like blah 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 blah." So he kind of like planted the seed that Nickelback
Hmm.
already sucked, right? But then on top of that, there was I can't remember what song it was. It was one of their early like hits. It was played that year more than any other song on the radio. And
Was
unlike
that Photograph? It was probably that one,
it
because that
it might have been, but like this was pre
bad song.
like Pandora, Spotify, where it's like, you're getting a bunch of different music. Like the radio was your single source of, music at the time, or like, like for the most part. And just people were hearing it constantly over and over and over and over and over again. And to the point where it was just like, I don't want to hear Nickelback anymore. And then that added to it. But what was it? It was I think it was the drummer or the bass player. He was doing an interview, and he was he was saying that that he's afraid that if the band isn't hated, that their band is it's not going to be a thing anymore. So he's like, the hate that they get is what made them popular. And then I remember him saying that he went to a show, I think in like Seattle, and there was like a petition that was started, like, don't Nickelback not going to Seattle, sign the petition. And there was like a bunch of people that signed it. But as soon as they got to Seattle, he's like, we felt so much love. We had fans there, and they're like, I don't know why you guys are hated. So it's like, I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. It's a weird dynamic with Nickelback. It's either you love them or you hate them, I think. I don't know.
What's funny is that album, what you're talking about, that came out the year that Blink-182 broke up,
Really?
2005. I just looked that up, and I was thinking about it, and I think that like part of the reason with that is it is that bridge. You made a really good point about that bridge between radio music and internet music.
Mm,
That's really where that shift started to happen, was about 2006 to 12.
no.
That's where things really took that shift. And Blink-182 got out of that with that earworm music before, like they broke up before they probably wouldn't have functioned well after 2005 with the type of music they did during that era, and they're able to take that break and come back in like what 2010, 11
Yep.
and do really well. But it's a really good thing they escaped that era of music, because our view of what they did would be just completely different, I think.
That is something weird.